As humans, we all have needs. After a long week at work, sometimes I come home on Friday looking into the weekend with just one thing on my mind, and all I want to do is spend my entire Sunday afternoon pumping and thrusting with my girl, Thea. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. To all my Commoner friends, thank you. Together, you have completely changed the narrative around Commoner. Engagement scores are up roughly 3x on Commoner videos. But it's not time to pump the brakes. If you enjoy this video and other Commoner content, like, comment, and subscribe to show not only myself, but the other content creators that this format matters. You all rock, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood commoner friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. Thanks for checking in for, that's right, a fun one. We're going over my Pump and Thrust with Dorinthea deck. And in the intro, I mentioned that I like to spend my Sunday afternoons pumping and thrusting with Dorinthea. And that's because, that's right, this weekend, this very weekend, we have another Commoner Crawl, the January Commoner Crawl coming up. We do them on Sunday afternoons. See how witty I am, that's right. But hey, if you're in the area, come check it out. It'll be a good time. I'll be there. I'm back in town. Really looking forward to getting Commoner and beers in with everybody. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk pumping and thrusting with Dorinthea. So this is a deck concept that I came up with because it's not hard to come up with. Look at that. It's super simple, right? Dorinthea, if we're being completely honest, Dorinthea has real challenges in Commoner because she doesn't have something like a Warrior's Valor, right? And that's all the that's all the Clash folks, right? That's one of their primary, I mean, not this particular case, but something like this is their argument for a lot of the Clash stuff. And, you know, that's its own format. I still think Commoner is a very valuable format, not just for onboarding, but for learning the fundamentals and enjoying the fundamentals and all that, right? So that's a whole aside, maybe a whole different cast. But with those challenges that Dorinthea has of not having Go Again a lot, you really only have, let's be honest, one Go Again on board, and that's your Refraction Bolters. So instead, I've really focused in on just a 1-3 pressure build. And by that, what I mean, yes, in a couple cases, there's 0-3s. But what I mean is I'm going to be trying to come in for 9 every single turn. Okay? 3 from the sword, 2 pumps, 1 pitch, gives me 1 to block. Right? If I add 0-3, I'll come in for more than that. Okay? Now, that coming in for 9 every turn could come in different forms. I could front pump, the pump with Thea, do something like a push forward or whatever, right? A 1-3 on the front, sharpen steel on the front. That could work too, right? There's your nice 0-3. Or we're going to push the sword forward and see what they do. See what the opponent does, right? Because you're going to have reacts. And one of the nice things about the 1-3 style reacts is that we don't need to rely on reprise. We don't really care. We're not necessarily trying to go for the second swing. Do keep in mind we have 1 second swing on board with our boots. Okay, to try and put that counter on, and then you could potentially come in for 10 every turn, or at least threatening 10 every turn. Okay, pretty cool. All right, so let's run into the deck. Now, I wanted to get this, so the deck's up now, but I wanted to get this deck out before heavy hitters for a very specific reason. It's probably going to change going into heavy hitters, but not in concept, just in what tools we have available. And as you go through this, you'll see that there's some stuff in there that's not really non-optimal, but it could be better. Right? You could look at that card and say, yeah, I can see how this card could potentially be better. And that's kind of the point. So I wanted to get this out before heavy hitter so as we go through the pending spoiler season, we could look at this and say, okay, yeah, this could slot in instead. And then what we'll do is maybe a couple months after heavy hitters, we'll come back and revisit this deck and see how it changed. All right. So for the loadout, we are running Dawnblade, right? It's a 1-3 swing. Awesome. It's exactly what we need. Okay. I'm running deep blue for the chest because sometimes you need blues for this, right? The whole idea is Dawnblade for 1, 2 1-3s in either form. That comes out to a blue. If you don't draw blue, you've got deep blue on board 1 time to make that happen. We have Gallantry Gold, Iron Rot Helm, and then we've got gloves, hood, and robe for the Null Rune, and then Refraction Bolters. Okay, so going down to the breakdown of this, we have 30 reds. I do have 2 yellows, and then I have 12 blues. Going into the deck itself, so we have 44. Now, there's one change that I've made very recently to this deck. I do know some of the team members have seen type of build before, because I've run this before. There's one slight change because I really struggle into Dramai with this, not just because of lack of poppers, which we can handle now with the sideboarding, But I also went into Brandish, right? Brandish gives me basically another way to slide in and try and take out yet another Ashwing on the table, instead of just having defend, swing, defend, swing, defend, swing. Okay. So we have Brandish, Brutal Assault, and then Raging Onslaught. Those are our poppers. Okay, so those are in the sideboard. We have On Guard, which is a 1/3 pump. We have Fate Foreseen and Sink Below. Those are our D-Racks, which makes sense. And then we have Red-Blue, Iron Song Response, Nature's Path Pilgrimage, 1/3 front pump. We do have Oasis Respite for defense, which we do need because Icelander's good in this format. We have Out for Blood. I've gone Red-Blue here. We also have Puncture. I've gone Red-Blue here. Again, I want to be completely honest. Out for Blood, the reprise you're not getting very often. Puncture, in this format, you don't get the bonus super often. But if you do, because most of the armor blocks for one, it basically nullifies their armor block. So if you get this one early, it's a good one to tuck in Arsenal, kind of keep it there. Push Forward is a good front pump. Again, you're not necessarily using this for the Dominate, but it's just a 1/3. Now, again, the vast majority of these defend for 3, and that's why I say that right going into Razor Reflex and then Thrust are both 1/3 reacts, but they both defend 2. We have Sharpened Steel, which is our 0/3 pump, good one there. We have Sink Below. I already talked to Sink Below. Fate and Fate Foreseen. We supposed to talk to them both. Stroke of Foresight is another 1/3, and then I also have this as a 1 again. With this, if you look at the blues of like Puncture, Out for Blood, Stroke of Foresight, not super optimal to have, but again, they can still drop for 1 to push you over 1. Maybe use that in combination with maybe your go turn with your boots. However, you can make that work. Okay, we do have Blade Flash in here. Blade Flash is a very, very, very bad Glint to Quicksilver, but it kind of fills the same role. And you do have Hit and Run, blue. Again, if you can maybe set it up, if you get a big blue turn or something like that, you can at least threaten. Probably not going to be able to pull it off, honestly, with just the cards you have available. It's very hard to get 2 swings in. But we do have Hit and Run available there. Okay, and then again, I mentioned Raging Onslaught and Brutal Assault for the poppers. Right, so that is the deck in of itself. It functionally is not that hard to understand. You need to keep a blue in hand, and then you pump and react for all that you can. And your opponent constantly, in this deck, the reacts are better. The front pumps are better on paper, but the reacts are better in reality because you don't necessarily need to use them, right? If you push your Dawnblade forward and you've got cards in hand, they're right with the way that this deck plays of the goal of threatening 9 every turn. If you're coming in only for 3, what do they have to assume that you have in hand? And they're probably right. But so what? Then they have to block over. Then you don't use them. You come back and you do the same thing next time. Those cards are still in your hand. And since they blocked so much, maybe all they did was throw 1 card at you. You block 1. You come back, you're threatening the same thing. So you're either eventually going to run them out of threats, or taking probably, like, let's say they're swinging 4 at you every turn. You're blocking 3, you're taking 1 every time. Do the math on that. They're not going to be able to out-fatigue you at that, right? So you will be able to fatigue them if that's the strategy they use, or they got to roll the dice and hope you don't have the cards to back it up. But a lot of times, again, look at the deck. What the deck does is throw 9 every turn, okay? So that's the deck. Hopefully you have fun with it. Again, it's not super complicated. This is a really great deck to build and have it in your box. Actually, that's what it is. I have it built. It just sits in my box. And sometimes I just want to, like I said, on a Sunday, just be dumb and just throw 9 every turn, right? Works for me. So anyway, that's the deck. Let me know what you think. If you like it, don't like it. Either way, leave a comment below, right? Help do that commenter support. Nothing else, folks. Go Commando.